So I just sold my Porsche Cayman S, which means now we can break down exactly how much it cost me to own over the past few years. So the car, I'll roll a clip in a second, was a 2008 Porsche Cayman S. It was incredibly well spec'd, the coolest spec I've ever seen. That's why I had to have that car. I'll get into the details of pricing and all of that more, of course, in this video, but incredible car, my first nice car, so it was really, really special to me. I was super sad to see it go, but the fact that I have the Porsche GT4 now definitely softened the blow. And as I promised in my video where I picked up the GT4, I will be breaking down the costs of that car and the numbers and what I paid and all of that. But I figured since I just sold this one, it'd be kind of cool to wrap it up and show what my true costs of ownership were. So that's what we're doing in this video, including how I bought it for $0 down and also how it really ended up costing me less than a Toyota Camry. So that's exactly what this video is going to cover. Let's see the car. Okay, so let's jump into the numbers for my ownership of the 2008 Porsche Cayman S. This is gonna be a little bit all over the place, but I promise if you watch this video, it's all gonna come together and it will make sense how this was a really good car to own for honestly not that much. So I purchased this car in July of 2016. The car is a 2008, so it was already 8 years old or so, which means it had already depreciated. We'll touch on that more towards the end of the video. But the purchase price that I paid for the car was $28,000 even. Now, I'm gonna jump around a bit and then tie it all back together. This will make sense, but let me jump towards the end right now. And the price that I actually sold the car for was $25,750, which is only a difference of $2,250. Now there's other costs, but that is going to be really important later in the video when we talk about depreciation and Toyota Camrys. Now, so those numbers were the actual agreed selling prices. There's of course also taxes, which could vary for you based on where you are, how you buy the car. This is how it worked out. For me, I did pay full taxes. I am in California, so taxes and fees were $2,570 when I bought the car. $2,380 of that was just the sales tax and then just a little bit of other documentation fees or whatever. Now this next cost, definitely optional. I paid $500 to have this car transported from Canada into the US, where I picked it up from a dealer in Washington and then drove it down to California. The reason I did that was just purely because I wanted this car. If you know Porsches, if you're into cars, you saw the footage, you saw the spec. I won't get super into it in this video. I have made videos about the car in the past. Maybe I'll link some of those up. But this is a very particular car. So some of this was frivolous. This wasn't about just how can I not lose any money. This was a very particular car that I really, really, really wanted. So some of these costs are just, costs. And it was just me willing to pay that for a very particular car. But that was just an added cost to get this car specifically. So that was just money down the drain, of course. Now, I did finance this car. So I calculated, it was hard to calculate this exactly because I couldn't go back and see the exact statements now that the account is closed. But to the best of my best estimation and my best calculation, I paid about $1,596 in interest on the car. And as I sort of teased in the beginning, I put $0 down when I bought the car. So my monthly payment was $466. And you probably saw in the thumbnail, $282 or something like that, depending on the way we calculate this. If this doesn't make sense to you yet, we'll get there. But that was how much I was actually paying out of pocket per month. That is not what ended up to be my true cost of ownership, from buying the car and then eventually selling the car. Not all $466 per month ended up going away because part of it was just going into the equity value I had in the car. Now, I chose to finance it because I'd rather hang on to that money, do other things with that money, because I can get a cheap loan. It was 2.99% for 72 months. That's very, very, very cheap money. So I would rather hang on to that money, pay a little bit in interest, and have the money. So I picked up this car, zero out of pocket, and was just paying $466 per month. So when we're talking about this actual cost, realize that I pretty much had the money for most of the time. Now, I'm including maintenance on this list. So let's talk about that because, if you're buying a car like a Porsche, that might concern you, should maybe concern you. I mean, it's something you have to be aware of. If you had a crazy repair bill, that is a potential risk. But here's what I ended up having to actually pay during my cost of ownership. And I'm also including relatively like wear and tear on this list, which you could sort of leave out if you want to, considering pretty much every car is going to have those things. So at the end, I'll give some other things that you could recalculate based on how you want to think about it. So the only thing I ever had really go wrong on the car was I needed the starter replaced, which cost me $1,040.63. So that was just something actually breaking, meaning to fix it. The next things are just sort of general. I had 2 oil changes in the time that I owned it, which cost me $325.27 and $296.98. I also did the brakes just a couple months before selling it. I probably could have got away with not doing that and just worked it in a little bit, but that was $1,009.77. And that was not for rotors. That was just for the pads, the shims, the sensors. So that puts my total maintenance costs as $2,672.65. Now, if we sum up all these, we get my total cost of ownership. That is $2,250, the difference in the buy price and the sell price. That is $2,570 for my sales tax and some of the documentation fees. $500 that I spent for transport and all that stuff to the other dealer. And then the maintenance, which was $2,672.65. That brings us to a grand total of $9,588.65. And I own this car for 2 years, 10 months. So if we divide that by 34 months, we're left with $282 per month. Now, if I had paid cash instead, I would have had to tie up the $28,000, but I would have saved the interest cost. So if I had done that, it would have cost me $7,992.65 total, which would have worked out to $235 per month. So would have been savings, but to me, it's worth it to keep my money and just take the cheap interest. Now, one other scenario, if we hadn't have had the transport fees, which was just because I wanted this particular one, we can subtract out $500, which would have brought me to $9,088.65 or $267.31 per month. Now, if we take out both of those, if we do cash and no transport, then it would have been $7,492.65 or $220.37 per month. So that was the way I did it, but obviously there's other ways you could have done it and had more potential savings. A couple other things to note that could have made this a lot cheaper. $2,380 of my loss was sales tax only. That works out to, if I divide that out by the ownership, that's $70 per month right there divided out, was just for that initial sales tax. Now, I'm in California. You may be in some state that may not have, sales tax on used cars, in which case that wouldn't exist. And I wish I lived in a place like that. That'd be amazing. Or maybe you bought it from a private party and you paid $5,000 for the car and you save on taxes. People do that. But I just want to give these examples because, some of these costs may or may not exist for you. So what's really by far the most interesting here is the difference between the buy price and the sell price, because everything else we talked about would apply to every car of the same rough value. They're all going to have sales tax or not, depending on how you buy it or where you buy it or where you live. They would all have interest or not based on if you financed or paid cash. And they would all have some level of maintenance, whether more or less. Even if you bought a brand new car, warranty isn't going to cover wear and tear like oil changes and brakes. So that $2,250 in depreciation is really the part that makes this such an amazing good deal. I mean, that works out, just that piece works out to $66 per month in depreciation, which is really the cost of the car. Everything else happens anyways. So the reason this works out so beautifully is because this car was already depreciated. This car originally in 2008, somebody paid close to $80,000 for. I bought it for 28. Then from there, it holds pretty flat. On the other hand, I could have bought a, loaded up, I think a Camry 2016 started at like $24,000. So let's say 26 with some options, meaning I'm saving a few $1,000s and getting a $26,000 Toyota Camry, slightly cheaper car, newer. That car now in the same period of time is worth $10,000 less than it was. $10,000 of depreciation in that time driving a Camry versus the just over $2,000 driving this Porsche for almost 3 years. So if you ask me, I think I did really well. I mean, yeah, it didn't cost me nothing. I mean, a lot of it is all those taxes suck on used cars. I think that shouldn't exist. If it didn't, I would be in and out of cars all the time, and it would be a lot of fun to just trade cars for break even, basically. It's hard to really do that in California. I'm sure that people do it. But to me, the real crazy thing to do with your money is to go out and buy a brand new Toyota Camry or whatever it is. Nothing against Camry specifically, but that to me is frivolous spending. Whereas I was driving this beautiful high-end enthusiast Porsche for a few years for very, very, very little cost. So I am thrilled with it. I miss that car a lot. And the GT4 is a lot of fun. And I'm definitely going to do a video on the buying costs and all that. One last thing I do want to mention, because it is one more cost, is insurance. And I didn't include this in the main calculations just because this is something on every single car, which is why I sort of gave you options for what you want to count or not. But insurance on this car for me was only, when I first got it, I was under 25. It was like about 110, 120 a month. And by the time I got rid of it, it was only 80 or 90 a month. And that's low because it's an already depreciated car. And the statistics on these cars is not a lot of people take care of them. So, it's fairly safe bet for the insurance company. So what do you think? Porsche or Toyota Camry? Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, what you'd like to see more of on this topic or other topics. Smash the like button. All these things really do help to feed the algorithm and, potentially boost this video out to new people. So I'd really, really appreciate if you click all the things. And as I said, I am going to do a video on the initial costs of ownership with the Porsche GT4 that I now have. So stay tuned for that very shortly. Hope you enjoyed the video and see ya next time.
Bye.